This is the last reading of the academic year for the Poets and Scholars Reading Series, which is sponsored by the University of Texas Poetry and Poetics Interest Group. And thanks to Malvern for hosting us again. They hosted us for our first reading. Traditionally, this is a lunch series that we have on campus, but this semester we've had two very special out-of-town guests, so we turned it into an evening event for the first and the fourth of them. So thanks for coming out. This is the Poets and Scholars series. Again, we have three amazing readers. Please know that all poetry is 20% off tonight. It's the last day of the 20% off poetry sale because presumably it's the last day of National Poetry Month, or World Poetry Month. So please pick up some poetry, particularly. Josh, I think do you have some books for sale at the table?
And one for free, so yeah.
Josh has some books for sale and one for free.
If you buy any book in the store, yeah. So you gotta buy something to get it. But.
Got it. Okay, so you can support both one of our readers and the bookstore if you pick up a book after the reading. The first reader we have tonight is a poet from the Michener Center. Sarah Matthes is a poet from Central New Jersey. She is a Michener Fellow at the University of Texas at Austin, where she serves as the poetry editor for Bat City Review. She has received support for her work from the Yiddish Book Center and the Juniper Summer Writing Institute. Her work can be found at the Iowa Review Online, Prodigal, The Bad Version, Girlblood Info, the Feminist Utopia Project, and Yalobusha Review. She also just very recently, as in a couple of days ago, won a campus poetry prize called the Guttow Prize. I think I've never heard anyone say it, but congratulations to Sarah, and please welcome Sarah Matthes.
Hello, predominantly friends, and then also a few people I don't know. Thanks for coming. This is so cool. I'm going to read some poems. The first one is called Listen, There Are Demons in Your Will. I'm bound in a complicated braid. Voices, they wind through my many ducts, ventricles and veins, round vowels. And O is just a heavy paper towel roll impossibly knocked over in your midnight kitchen. In bed, I wonder why the cat is shaking, and then I realize I'm shaking, and then I'm shaking the cat. Listen, I know that there are demons in my well. I can feel their fists pounding my empty cavities. The stories tell me to extricate my demons. I need only throw my nagging wife down my well, and she will drive them away. Being my own wife, I chuck myself into the dark. I fall for a very long time. Turning myself inside out is much less terrifying than expected. It's really good to see you. That was that one. Let's do another one. This one's called Lament for the Living. And this is like, okay, I write about dead people a lot because it's pretty full ground. And this is when I was thinking that maybe they were like, quit it out, stop it, leave us alone. So that's this one, Lament for the Living. We feel them walking over us in their intolerable shoes, knocking down our stone doors. What would they have us do, come outside? We will not afternoon among the pigeons who loiter like blanched old men in a sauna, moaning, ah, but meaning to say, shut the door, but meaning, let this day end me. Their dicks lolling across their thighs, gummy and white as gefilte fish. Overwrought? Yes. But this is just one tunnel through the story, and it is not one that leads to some outside that is sweet and green. What if we had known we were in the last 5 years of our lives? What a relief. To look around and say how fine it is, to awaken in the cracked sun, to knock back a berry into our mouths like a large and living pill, to have 2.5 years to eat before our time is reset into a new measure of halfness. And it goes. For decades, we split ourselves across the longing of an asymptote, until one day we reach down to wipe. We're putting our hands through a ghost. And then it becomes intolerable, like fruit salad, a grape disguised in the juices of a cantaloupe. We leave behind a dotted line and all these people. They follow it like a map to heaven when what we meant was cut here. Okay, that's what they say about us. I know for sure. Okay, the next poem is going to be 613 mitzvot. In case you don't know, those are like the commandments of, or sort of what the thing's supposed to fulfill to be a good Jewish person. There are 613 of them. That's a lot. I've been to this park before. I'm starting to accrue on this place. My presence a little bump of spackle where a better picture hung. A Tinder message comes in right now. Wait, is you at the park right now? It feels so good to be recognized. I shut that down fast, though, by talking too much about the 613 mitzvot and the categories into which I'm sorting them. Amazing, confusing, terrifying, important. The guy was like, okay. But you know how it feels when you're onto something? The sea closing up behind Moses and Aaron, inventing the zipper eventually. Cloud exhaling slow across the sun, shapes moving on the grass. I lived my whole life thinking I mostly got it. There would be hardships, sure, but there would also be parables, ways, cross stitches, paring knives. And then the news of blood and its usual readjustments. Then the condemnation of love, first God of my life, followed shortly by trees, steam, travel by wind. And then today, these 613 new little gods. To examine the marks in cattle, not to eat things that swarm in the water, not to muzzle a beast when it is working in produce which it can eat and enjoy, not to leave something that might cause hurt, not to seek the dead. Anyway, 6 + 1 + 3 = 10, which is my favorite number, and 6 - 1 - 3 = 2, which is, you guessed it, my other favorite number. Is this a numerological mysticism? Is this the transformation of 10 to 10, of 12 to dozen, of 2 inevitably to parting? Somewhere in the number line there exists my perfect balance name. Imagine it, a quantity of language. SE.LF, more than I or me. SARA.H, with her dangling breath, her name, the red leave a penny jar into which we drop a copper H, suddenly with something to give. But some days the decimal shifts underneath me. Some days I'm floating with my ears below the WA.TER. LO.VE, rounded up, becomes the way I feel without it, low. GO.D wakes me up, and all that's left by night is go. Cool, I'm gonna do a couple more. This one, sorry, that was so weird. Remember that one out loud before? It's like hard to get the dots in, but that was a fun experiment. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll do it again, maybe never again. Okay, this one is called Dissertation of Asia. The barista I used to know when I was younger says, come, sit with me, and he tells me how he doesn't believe in reality anymore. This chair, these teeth, could be anything that isn't a chair or teeth. I'm not interested in his latest endeavor, a drawing he shows me, naming it Shame, a sketch of a man, such large hands over what kind of faith. I have to go, or I say so, and sit on the street that erupts twice a year, once in cherry blossoms, once in wiry branches, vibrations in the sky. At home, my father watches the television muted, saying, who is this, and what are these fellows doing? And every few minutes he hears a sound that might be the icebox spawning, and on double canes he walks to the front door like a paper puppet shaking in the light. I'm going to stay on this bench a very long time, watching autumn's fingers trace salted lines around the spaces where the leaves have pressed their damp brown bodies to the ground. And I will try to find a way to carve the space around my body into quiet, or lift a spindle from my tongue to tighten these sounds into simply something else. When I finally go home, I'm going to ask my father how his day was, and he'll say, the egg is on top of the egg, but he won't mean an egg, and he won't mean an egg. Cool, I'm going to do, I think, 2 more. I think that's good. Okay, this one is called Love Poem. It is a love poem. Some days I wake up and that is terrifying. A dream of you is only good when I'm having it. After that, it's just pissing with the open door, missing the deeply imagined thing, wondering how will I ever know if I came in my sleep. You are so enthusiastic. Your household dehydrator has been used by your midwife roommate for her client's many placentas. The machine is clean and damp on the drying rack. You can proceed. You can make your beef jerky. But instead you must call me and tell me about the dehydrated placenta. This is one way that you tell me that you love me. Another is when you leave a box in the freezer clearly marked, snake, do not eat. I appreciate that. Some days, affection is a salve we rub over affliction. Like the way you take the calls that come into my phone from 609 area codes and never disparage me for assuming they carry news of fresh death. The way on our first anniversary you listened as I practiced a eulogy between bites of pickled radish. Do you remember that dim afternoon? Curled like quotation marks on the bed, a mouth open between us. Holding each other, kissing casually, you started to squirm, rolling your forehead over and over my chest. Do you remember how it happened? The very first time it happened? You answered, "I love you." I asked, "What's wrong?" And this will be my last one. Thank you so much for being here and doing this. Thank you to Joshua and Danielle and Micah and Malvern. This is so cool. This is the first place I ever read when I moved to Austin, so it feels really nice to be here again. This one is called Accidental Yahrzeit. If you don't know, a yahrzeit is a memorial, a Jewish memorial candle that you light usually on the sort of death day of the person who's gone. And I just been thinking about this poem because of this week and the events that happened. So this one is for all my fellow Jews and the people who love us. It's called Accidental Yahrzeit. It is still early December. It is the beginning of the season of the death days of so many I loved, and the birthdays of those other dead who died in different seasons. And the days are full of meaningful oak leaves, specific soups, a little sudden crying by the sheer blue curtain. You know when the sun catches a whole universe of hanging dust, bits of light better lit by all the light that surrounds it. Under a white cloth on the table, what you had made me, a menorah. Black welds, slim and clean, dark interlocked fingers. And the candles were too large to fit in their metal wells, so we whittled them down with a paring knife each. And you don't know that the holiday ended days ago, and I'm not going to tell you. 9 white lights open their eyes to a night they've never seen. And the record player spins a thin voice through the room. The heat is on, the couch is green. The dark days of my longing approach, they turn up my street. They fill my yard with omens. A sneaker tread, a gray fox and a red, both together. A sapling seizing out of the dirt like an arm. But inside your arm is around me. Outside there is loss, but inside there is a deep and abiding remainder. Outside there is all that, but look at now, this. My sorrow suspended in your steel, my light held up in your love. Thanks, guys.